Welcome to Okaloosa Eye on Crime.
And Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers is hoping for your help getting clues on 2 missing women, a 50-year-old murder, and much more. So let's go ahead and get started. And that first case is deputies are searching for 51-year-old Kathleen Ialegio after friends reported her missing in late June of 2021. Her last known contact was with her friends on May 16th of that year, but no one has heard from her since. Anyone with information can contact the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, or of course Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers will give you 3 ways to do so: 863-TIPS, emeraldcoastcrimstoppers.com, or you can visit P3TIPS to submit a mobile tip.
Okay, now the Fugitives Springs police are asking for information in locating a 29-year-old white female last seen in 2021. Ashley Renee, have no idea how to say this name, so I'm just going to wing it. Serigny last spoke to her mother 2 years ago on May 8th and has not been seen or heard from since that time and has had no social media activity. During the last contact, Ashley advised her mother she was going to Miami with an unknown black male. So anyone with any information regarding Ashley's whereabouts, please contact the Fugitives Springs Police Department. The number is 850-892-8513. And of course, you can remain anonymous and go through Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers and get a cash reward if you have information that helps recover her.
And next up, this is a much older case. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office continues to seek answers in the 1973 shooting death of Merle Dean Lewis. Now, this October will mark half a century since Lewis was shot and killed at his mobile home in Mary Esther. It all happened October 5th. 2 people in a white Chevrolet truck drove up to Lewis's mobile home there on Brenda Lane sometime between 11:30 and 11:45 that night. The passenger in the truck went into the trailer, and about 5 minutes later, shots were heard. Then the subject was observed leaving the home, and a vehicle sped off with the lights off. Now, Lewis's body was found the next day, and it was determined he was shot at close range in the chest. Pictured here is a sketch of the suspect, which was described by witnesses. Now, over the years, investigators have followed numerous leads, and they're hoping that maybe someone can provide any new information or come forward with any information that might help them solve this case and close a 50-year-old murder investigation. Of course, you can contact the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office or anonymously Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.
Never too late on those homicide cases. Moving to some recent news, members of the OCSO Honor Guard, Major Shannon Tate, Chaplain Larry Carter, and the family of fallen OCSO Corporal Ray Hamilton traveled to Washington, D.C. for National Police Week.
The name of Corporal Hamilton, who was killed in the line of duty Christmas Eve of last year, was added to the Law Enforcement National Monument.
He was also remembered along with other local heroes who have died while serving and protecting at a recent service and event at Northwest Florida State College.
I want to first thank Northwest Florida State College, specifically Dr. Stevenson, Chief Murray, and Dr. McGill for hosting this event on National Peace Officers Memorial Day. I believe it's important to host memorials like this to be able to honor, mourn, and remember those beloved brave heroes. Today, as every day, we remember those that paid the ultimate sacrifice protecting the citizens of Okaloosa and Walton counties. I imagine there are many similarities in the bravery and dedication to which they all served. Our most recent loss was on Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2022. We often tell our new hires to be humble, hungry, and smart. Ray had a special ability to remain humble while having confidence. It's not often you find these two things together, where you have confidence and humility. Again, Ray was special. It has been said, courage is when you find yourself running towards trouble, knowing the risks, fearing for your life and the life of others, and doing it anyway. These brave men we honor paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect their community and our county. Rest assured, when we suffer, our public loves us and they mourn with us. Use their love and support as a sense of strength to go through the days and tomorrow and the next day. Try each day to be the difference. Be that officer, that deputy that everyone wants to see the next time that they need us. Be special.
Now, as always, we're going to go down our first list of fugitives we're hoping maybe you can help law enforcement locate. And we want to remind you they're wanted as of today's taping date, May 16th, 2023. So first up is a new face to the show. That's Stephen Alexander Jameson. He's 21 years old, wanted for felony order revoking bond for sexual assault and child abuse, last known to live on Indian Trail in Crestview.
Another big case, Darius Tyrell Wingate's wanted for homicide, aggravated battery, and narcotics charges. He's 18 and last known to live on Merrow Street in Defuniak Springs.
39-year-old Clint Wayne Kobe is being sought for felony failure to appear for 2 counts of battery on an officer or firefighter.
And we can now say goodbye to Michael David Tennis because Tennis has been located since our last show.
But we're looking for 69-year-old Glenn Albert Pope Jr. Actually, Walton County Sheriff's Office is looking for him for felony failure to register as a sexual offender, as well as a few other active charges on that warrant, last known to live in Defuniak Springs.
And Margaret Mary Marsh is still on our list. She's wanted for failure to appear for theft and elderly abuse.
This next individual is wanted for violation of probation for burglary and grand theft. That's 21-year-old Jiron Michael McCoy.
Oswaldo Avalos Camacho wanted for felony failure to appear for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, last known to live on Williams Court in Fort Walton Beach.
Another new addition this month is Keith Allen Oglesby Tenor. He's wanted for felony violation of probation for battery on a person 65 or older, last known to live on Playground Road in Fort Walton Beach.
And this is Casey Scott Dishman, wanted for felony failure to appear for resisting arrest without violence, possession of controlled substance with intent to sell, as well as other drug charges. And Dishman's last known address was in Destin.
Donald Joe Mitchell, whose last known address was in Navarre, he's wanted for DUI and driving while license suspended or revoked.
Also still looking for Tad Keith Bowers. Bowers is wanted for VOP on an original charge of child neglect.
50-year-old Clifton Ray Edwards is wanted for felony violation of probation for carrying a concealed weapon.
Zachary Lee Dalton's next on the list, and Dalton is wanted for arson.
Wrapping up our first list is Christian Devontae Nix. He's 22, wanted for felony failure to appear for fleeing and eluding law enforcement, operating a vehicle without a license, as well as destroying evidence, last known to live on 4th Avenue in Shalimar.
And speaking of wrapping up, deputies at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office have wrapped up training on their brand new Axon Taser 7s.
That's right, and Professional Development Inspector Bill Gerard says the updated agency-wide platform boosts both suspect and officer safety.
Drop it now! Drop it! Stop! Now! Stop! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Do it now! Stop! Hey, get on the ground! Get on the ground! Do it now! Do it now! Do it now! Get on the ground! Put your hands behind your back! Do it now! Do it now!
End scenario. Everybody in the agency is getting a new Taser 7, so we have one platform for the agency. One of the things that Sheriff Aiden has done for us was to improve our officer safety. By partnering with Axon, we increased our officer safety package, and part of that is new body-worn 3 cameras. The second part of that is the Taser 7 program, and so we're replacing the older Taser, which is a 2-shot X2, with the new Taser 7. And so one of the features on the Taser 7 is it does shut off after 5 seconds. There's no way for the officer to go beyond 5 seconds unless he reinitiates it, and he has to manually do that. So it hard stops the Taser at 5 seconds to prevent excessive use of force complaints. The second improvement is it has an audible feature, so at 2.5 seconds in, it lets the officer know that the Taser is about to shut off. And so that kind of helps the officer with his OOLU so that he can remember what's about to happen. And so he can plan accordingly, come up with whatever contingency that he needs to. And then the cartridges are the big change for this. And so one of the things that we noticed as an agency was close probe deployments were ineffective. And so one of the complaints that officers have had across the country with Axon was, could they give us something that was better? And this is Axon's close quarter cartridge. And so you have the option for a 12-degree cartridge. You have the option for a 3.5-degree cartridge. And one of the final improvements that we were really kind of excited about was the efficacy of the taser has gone up. It went from 19 pulses per second to 22 pulses for your first cartridge. If you have to shoot a second time, it increases the pulse duration rate to 44 pulses per second, which achieves neuromuscular incapacitation much quicker for the officers. Again, this is huge with Sheriff Aiden coming in. He's very pro technology, and improving less lethal weapons is certainly going to improve officer safety as well. So we really want to take the opportunity to say thank you.
And here's some more folks we're hoping maybe you can help law enforcement find. We're going to start with 30-year-old Brennan Shane Dickinson. He's wanted for felony possession of a weapon or ammo by convicted felon, burglary, larceny, and violation of probation. Last known to live on Harmony Lane up in Crestview.
And please contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you know where to find Angela Dawn Tripp. She's been on our list for a while. She's wanted for failure to appear for exploitation of the elderly.
Dara Suzanne Giancola, I have no idea if I'm saying that right. Last known to live on Hunt Club Street in Fort Walton Beach. She's wanted for felony failure to appear for leaving the scene of an accident, DUI, with injury or property damage, as well as bribery of or by a public official and resisting arrest without violence.
This next person is Scott Daniel Sconyers. He's wanted for VOP, DUI, and fleeing and eluding. Last known address, Destin.
31-year-old Anthony Michael Frodely. He's wanted for violation of probation for grand theft, trafficking in stolen property, and providing false information to a pawnbroker. Last known to live in Fort Walton.
I don't have a picture available of Brandon Dalton West, but he's a 32-year-old white male who's wanted for sexual assault.
Another new face this month is Sean Evan Ethier. He's 37 years old. He's wanted for felony, lewd and lascivious behavior, and non-payment of child support.
Last known address for Alyssa Victoria Hibberts was in Pensacola, but she's wanted for VOP for child neglect and possession of cocaine.
Janelle Eileen Navarro, who's 38, she's wanted for felony violation of probation for 4 counts of sell, manufacture, or deliver narcotics.
We don't see 80-year-olds on our list very often, but we've got one this time. It's J. William Shutter, 80-year-old white male wanted for felony child neglect.
Next up is 33-year-old Jose Alberto Hernandez Cruz. He's wanted for failure to appear for DUI and 2 counts of child neglect, last known to live on Airport Road in Destin.
Also trying to locate Kelly Lynn Abbott. She's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for felony grand theft and contracting without a license.
Back to Okaloosa, deputies are looking for 28-year-old Cheyenne Lee Gentry for violation of probation for possession of methamphetamine. She was last known to live on Oak Terrace Drive up in Crestview.
We don't have a photo available for Keyshawn Denishowski Campbell. I think I butchered that name, but he's 34 years old, and he's wanted for lewd and lascivious behavior and cruelty toward a child.
63-year-old James Clinton Brinkley Jr., he's wanted for violation of probation for battery, last known to live in Pensacola.
And take a look at Justin Rafael Diaz, wanted for felony possession of meth with intent to sell and possession of heroin.
35-year-old Robert Earl Studemeyer Jr. being sought by both the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office as well as the Niceville Police Department for larceny, last known to live on Page Bacon Road in Mary Esther.
And moving back to some recent events, Okaloosa County Judge Angela Mason put together a program at the Courthouse Extension in Fort Walton Beach. She's letting students at Liza Jackson Preparatory School get a look at what goes on there from inside the courtroom to booking.
Yeah, the event for students also gave them a chance to explore and be exposed to some of OCSO's many assets.
And we couldn't leave out K9 Bo because he was on hand, and Deputy Tim Patterson made sure that he got his pearly whites and fresh minty breath going before he got a chance to meet and greet with all the kids from Liza Jackson. This tastes good, whatever it is.
Peanut butter flavor.
And now we've got some more fugitives that we want to run down, and the first one on this list is Kelvin Paul Michael Wise. We don't have a photo available, but Wise is wanted for sexual battery.
We also don't have a photo of Markel Antonio Kelson, but he's a 28-year-old black male wanted for felony fleeing and eluding law enforcement, last known to live in Pensacola.
This is Joseph Lee Fairchild, and he's wanted for violation of probation, or VOP, for aggravated assault.
And here's 46-year-old David Allen Bobbitt, and he's wanted for fraud.
Thomas Edward Allison, 63, and he's wanted for failure to appear for aggravated assault on a person 65 or older, last known to live in Destin.
Tobin Dean Collins is wanted for failure to register as a sexual offender, last known to live on Yacht Club Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
Daniel Robert Turner O'Rourke, last known address Crestview, is wanted for felony failure to appear for grand theft as well as criminal mischief.
38-year-old Coretta LaDon James, she's wanted for failure to appear for grand theft and fraud, last known to live on Wilson Street in Crestview.
And we don't have a picture available from Michael Edward Leahy, but he's wanted for felony hit and run with injuries, last known to live on Dune Lake Circle in Santa Rosa Beach.
David Richard Abbott, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach, wanted for felony failure to appear for resisting arrest without violence and possession of a controlled substance.
Danny Hernandez is a 36-year-old white male who's wanted for felony possession of a weapon or ammo by convicted felon, burglary, larceny, and as well as violation of probation, last known to live on Bryn Mawr Boulevard in Mary Esther.
And here's 47-year-old Leon Leslie Chandler. He's wanted for violation of probation for driving while license suspended or revoked and possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, last known to live on Ashley Lane in Fort Walton Beach.
We're hoping someone out there knows where to find Timothy Tyler Turner. Although we don't have a picture available, he's a 29-year-old white male, and Turner's wanted for sexual battery and lewd and lascivious molestation.
26-year-old Brayon J. Valenzuela Castillo, wanted for failure to appear for lewd behavior, victim 12 to 14 years old, last known to live on Tyner Street in Fort Walton Beach.
Kyshawn Campbell, no picture available here either, 34-year-old black male, wanted for lewd and lascivious behavior, cruelty towards a child, and possession of obscene material.
Niceville police are looking for Michelle Alicia Fortson for felony grand theft as well as passing force checks, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
And we're wrapping up this list with Carson Ray Allen, a 27-year-old female. Allen's wanted for felony failure to appear for battery on a law enforcement officer or firefighter, and Allen was last known to live over on Harbor Boulevard in Destin.
During National Telecommunicators Week recently, Sheriff Aiden and Under Sheriff Nix both wanted to stress the critical role played by the men and women who answer your 911 and other emergency calls each and every day.
My first immersion into dispatch was when I was an intern in 1993. It allowed me to really appreciate what they do to keep us safe and everything they do behind the scenes. It was an amazing immersion, and I think every deputy should be able to spend time in dispatch to appreciate what they do day to day for us. A week is not enough to celebrate or to recognize the contribution that they make towards law enforcement. It's absolutely one of the most vital components of our existence in law enforcement is communications.
I don't think people realize what a vital role they play. A lot of times they're the calming voice on the other end of the line when somebody has a very traumatic incident going on in their life that they've never experienced. And then they're the ones responsible for the direction of those resources, whether it's patrol, fire, EMS, to get the people that are calling in for help, the help that they need. So they're very vital to our operation. The sheriff's office would not operate without our communications officers.
And next up, we have Blake Elliott Gundred. He's wanted for VOP for grand theft, trafficking in stolen property, and providing false information to a pawnbroker.
This one's been on here a while. We'd really like to find her. And Jolie Rochelle Johnson. She's wanted for aggravated battery, and she was last known to live on Mixon Road up in Defuniak Springs.
Contact Crime Stoppers if you know where to find Timothy Ryan McDonald. He's wanted for felony VOP for burglary and theft.
And we don't have a photo of Christine Chadwick, but she's a 58-year-old white female. She's wanted for cruelty to animal and resisting arrest without violence.
This is Aja Marie Nathan, wanted for failure to appear for vehicle theft, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
Terry James Hennesser is wanted for failure to register as a sexual offender.
Reginald Dwayne Muse has been on here for a while. He's wanted for VOP on grand theft, burglary, and aggravated stalking charges.
44-year-old Charles Anthony Brush, whose last known address was on Denton Boulevard in Fort Walton Beach. He's wanted for felony exploitation of the elderly or disabled.
Next up is Mary Elizabeth Gibson. Gibson's wanted for VOP for leaving the scene of a crash with injuries. Last known address, Silva Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
Walton County deputies are looking for Eric Markel Clyburn for felony failure to appear, last known to live out in Santa Rosa Beach.
Also trying to find Felipe Carrera Gonzalez Sr. He's wanted for felony failure to appear for battery as well as non-payment of child support.
37-year-old Timothy James Howard is wanted for larceny, resisting an officer in recovery of stolen property, as well as failure to appear for fraud, last known to live on Bear Head Road in Defuniak Springs.
68-year-old James Lee Burnett's wanted for felony failure to appear for aggravated battery.
Another one the Walton County deputies are looking for is 43-year-old Chad Alford. He's being sought for felony aggravated assault.
George Monroe Emmerich II's out there somewhere. We've been looking for him for a while. He's wanted for VOP, domestic violence strangulation, and aggravated battery.
And we mention this every time as well. We're not giving up on this one. That's Alexis Wilmer Mondragon, who's wanted by the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office for sexual battery, sex offense against a child, as well as lewd and lascivious molestation.
Next up, Daniel Lewis Davis. Davis is wanted for VOP for burglary.
Roderick James Rudderson Jr. is wanted for possession of synthetic narcotics within 1,000 feet of a school and failure to appear for driving while license suspended or revoked. Last known to live on Mooney Road in Fort Walton Beach.
And take a look at Samuel Edward Thomas III. He's wanted for VOP on original charges of providing false information to a pawnbroker, false imprisonment, and grand theft.
33-year-old Kristen Marie Chandler is wanted for failure to appear for fleeing and eluding law enforcement.
Moving over to the Walton County Sheriff's Office, they're looking for James Anthony Williams. He's wanted for VOP possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Back to Okaloosa, deputies are looking for 52-year-old Stephen Charles Briley for violation of probation for grand theft and uttering a forged instrument.
Tony Wayne Poland, last known to live in Freeport, is wanted for failure to appear for criminal mischief, burglary, and theft.
And we don't have a photo available, but Angel Lewis Trowery is wanted by the Crestview Police Department for aggravated stalking.
And winding down this list, Cole Rutland Graninger, wanted for VOP for aggravated stalking and burglary.
And last but not least is Timothy Tyler Turner. He's wanted for sexual battery and lewd and lascivious molestation, last known to live in Baker.
Lots of names and faces.
Yes, there are. And now we did recently have our annual fundraiser, which every year we have usually at Uptown Station. That's the Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers Crawfish Boil. We had another fantastic event, hundreds of pounds of crawfish and shrimp, and of course great community turnout. And thank you very much, because we don't run on taxpayer dollars. A lot of people don't know that. It's a 501c3 organization, so we do rely a lot on private donations. But we do want to thank Chaplain Larry Carter for providing us with a wonderful video of what went on that day.
In the morning, you used to call me late at night, but now you don't call me anymore. You call me daddy, oh daddy, well daddy all night, but now you don't call me daddy anymore. That's why. You used to call me in the morning, you used to call me late at night, but now now you don't call me anymore. You call me daddy, oh daddy, all night. But now you don't call me daddy anymore. Here's why.
And of course, we want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors, and especially the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office and Emerald Coast Funeral Home, who have been big sponsors for several years now, continue to support the program. Thank you to all of our sponsors, and a huge thank you to our law enforcement partners and the wonderful community that came out as well. So, and as we move forward, we want to talk about some of the stats we had and some of the success we had in April of this year, and that we had 136 tips that were received, which ended up clearing 13 arrests, cleared 14 cases for local law enforcement agencies, and our board of directors approved $4,600 in rewards, and that included a tip that led to the location of a fugitive that was wanted by the Crestview Police Department for attempted homicide. So thank you, and of course keep up the great work, and thank you.
That was a great tip coming in for that attempted homicide. And that's going to do it for this edition of Okaloosa Eye on Crime. We'll catch you next time.